A racist investor shattered a young black entrepreneur's dream, humiliating him in front of an audience and dismissing his idea as a poor man's fantasy. Malik, crushed by this rejection, found himself on the brink of despair, yet he channeled his pain into a resolve to change the system. When his bank, Hope, became a symbol of equality for thousands, he returned to dismantle his oppressor's business and erase his name from the world of finance. What he did next will shock even the most cynical. But let's start from the beginning. Malik grew up in a poor neighborhood, surrounded by people who faced daily hardships and harsh realities that seemed to doom them to perpetual financial struggles. Witnessing family and neighbors struggle with high interest rates and inaccessible credit, he decided to create a project that would support those denied financial stability. His idea was to establish a bank with a unique approach to low-income clients, a bank that would help people start their lives anew, free from fear and debt. Malik spent years developing his project, meeting with advisors, studying financial strategies, refining his business model, and bringing like-minded individuals on board. He was certain that his bank could be a lifeline for thousands. Malik dreamed of his institution opening doors to everyone rejected by conventional banks, hoping his idea would inspire other entrepreneurs as well. When he finally felt ready to present his project to major investors, Malik sought out potential partners. That's when he heard about Richard Hope, a wealthy and arrogant magnate renowned for his love of money and influence over the market. Hope held a multi-million-dollar portfolio and was a name well known among the city's financial elite. Malik knew the road to Hope would be challenging, yet he believed he could persuade him to back a project so essential for ordinary people. Malik arrived at the meeting energized, dressed in his best suit and armed with a folder filled with graphs, financial forecasts, and meticulously crafted presentations. Knowing that Richard Hope valued confidence, he rehearsed his pitch on the way, aiming to sound as persuasive as possible. Malik believed that if anyone could convince this man, it would be him, someone who was committed to his dream and ready to fight to the end. But as soon as he crossed Hope's office threshold, the millionaire's icy gaze shattered his confidence. Hope's eyes showed no curiosity, no interest, and not a hint of respect. Without a proper greeting, Hope glanced dismissively at Malik's documents, smirked, and made it clear he thought this was a waste of time. "Banks aren't meant for people like you," Hope sneered, unashamed of his disdain. "These ideas about helping the poor are fine for charities, but they have no place in serious business." Malik was momentarily speechless. He hadn't anticipated such a blow, especially from someone he considered a potential ally. Shame and humiliation filled his heart, though he tried to keep his emotions in check. Summoning his courage, Malik attempted to explain that his project wasn't mere charity, but a comprehensive financial strategy that could yield substantial profits if properly developed. But Hope wouldn't listen. He demonstratively closed Malik's folder, looked at him with contempt, and said, "You'd do better sticking to something within your reach. Leave serious things to professionals." Chuckling, Hope stood up, signaling the meeting was over without waiting for a reply. Malik left the office with his head bowed, feeling his dreams shatter to pieces. Hope's rejection and scorn weren't just a professional failure. They were acts of outright racism and disdain towards someone who dared to dream of changing his fate, despite his race and social status. Returning home after the failure with Hope, Malik felt a crushing weight inside him. Every word Hope had said seemed lodged in his mind, growing more painful with each step. That day, Malik saw no point in his dream or his efforts. He envisioned his carefully nurtured idea simply vanishing as if it had never existed. His life, his work, his preparation, it all seemed in vain. Doubt and anxiety overtook him. For the first time, Malik questioned his ability to achieve something meaningful. He began to wonder if the world, where money and power lay in the hands of people like Hope, was a place where his dreams were doomed. The loneliness and injustice of seeing his vision met with such contempt drove him to shut himself off from the world. For days, he stayed in a state of complete despair, avoiding even those closest to him. Those around him noticed the change in him. His mother, who knew him better than anyone, sensed he needed to talk to free himself from the burden weighing on his heart. One evening, as Malik sat in a dark room, lost in his painful thoughts, His mother sat beside him. "Malik, you're stronger than you think," she began softly. "You don't strive to help those overlooked by the system for nothing. This is your destiny. This idea is too important to let someone destroy it with one rejection." She reminded him that his struggle was not his alone. He was fighting for those who lacked opportunities. She understood how important his dream of a bank was to him, but she also knew that realizing it could change hundreds, if not thousands, of lives. Her words reached Malik's heart. He remembered the children growing up without chances for the future, his friends and neighbors who, like him, faced poverty and a system that refused to help them. He understood that his dream was more than a personal ambition. It was a beacon of hope for his community. His mother and the people around him, they wouldn't let him give up. Gathering his strength, Malik began considering his next steps. Reflecting on how his community had always supported and believed in him, he realized he could find support and funding, not from the rich and powerful, but from people like himself. Those who understood what he had been through and who knew he was fighting for something important to all of them. Malik saw crowdfunding as the solution to his problem. After all, those for whom he was building this bank might be willing to help him create it. He shared his idea with friends, activists, and acquaintances, and many were inspired by his story. Those, like Malik, who were disillusioned with traditional banks and large investors, began spreading the word about his project on social media. Soon, Malik started receiving messages from people across the country, willing to invest even small amounts to support the dream of a bank that would serve everyone. This flow of support, words of encouragement, and genuine solidarity gave Malik confidence and courage. Now he knew he could move forward, despite the rejection and humiliation. His community believed in him, which meant he couldn't allow himself to abandon his dream. Gathering all his strength and confidence, Malik launched a massive campaign to promote his idea. He didn't just talk about the bank, he shared his personal story, describing how his dream had been humiliatingly dismissed. In his posts, Malik spoke candidly about the challenges he had faced, the indifference and the arrogance of the wealthy who saw no need to help those in need. In every message, he reached out to people saying, "This bank is not for the rich. This bank is for all of us." Social media became a powerful tool in his hands. Videos of Malik discussing his project and presenting the pitch that Richard Hope had refused to hear quickly went viral. His emotional speech and the sincere pain with which he described the scorn and humiliation struck a chord with viewers. People saw in him not just an entrepreneur, but someone fighting for an idea that could change their lives for the better. His posts started gaining thousands of likes and comments, and people began sharing them, encouraging others to support the project. Before long, Malik's story spread beyond social media, drawing the attention of journalists and bloggers. He was invited to several interviews where he spoke in detail about his idea and how the meeting with Hope only fueled his determination to create an accessible and fair bank. His words carried a rare sincerity in the financial world. He wasn't afraid to speak openly about the racial and social discrimination that he and many others faced daily, giving a voice to those who had long felt voiceless. In time, various professionals impressed by Malik's perseverance and conviction reached out to him. The first was a lawyer who offered him free legal consultations and support. She was inspired by Malik's vision to create a bank that would offer everyone a chance at financial stability, regardless of background or skin color. Soon after, experienced financial consultants joined, ready to work pro bono to help Malik develop a microloan system targeted at those with limited resources. United by a common purpose, these specialists helped Malik develop the platform's first version. The platform allowed people to apply for microloans quickly and securely, with interest rates significantly lower than those of traditional banks. Malik named it Hope, to embody everything he stood for and the opportunities he wanted to provide for those shut out by other banks. The support didn't stop there. Soon, Malik's project began attracting the attention of charitable foundations and community organizations eager to invest in it. Large donors also started expressing interest, but this time Malik carefully chose his partners, avoiding individuals with racist views or an air of arrogance. When the funds were gathered, Malik knew he had made the first but highly significant step toward his goal. His Hope platform began gaining popularity, and people from across the country started registering, seeing it as a chance for a fresh start. Malik understood that there was no turning back now. His dream had become a reality he was committed to continuing for himself, his family, and his community. Despite his success and recognition, Malik hadn't forgotten the humiliation he endured from Hope. He knew that defeating injustice was more than just creating a bank. It was a powerful demonstration that loyalty to one's ideals and the support of a community could overcome any obstacle. Determined, Malik prepared to show that even the strongest must respect everyone. A year had passed since Malik had left Hope's office, feeling humiliated and defeated. In that time, he had transformed his pain and resentment into the powerful force that allowed him to build a successful bank, one that was now known across the country. His Hope project had become far more than just a financial institution. It had become a symbol of equality and justice for those who had long been left behind by the system. Malik, once a modest entrepreneur with a dream, was now the owner of one of the country's most talked about banks, attracting the interest of major corporations seeing a new path for their investments in his success. Politicians, often disconnected from the realities of ordinary people, also took notice of his project. They saw in Hope not just an opportunity to earn political points, but a real tool to improve the lives of thousands. Malik began receiving partnership offers and support from influential figures who hadn't previously considered helping a black entrepreneur, but now saw him as someone capable of changing the system. Yet, Malik hadn't lost sight of his ultimate goal. He knew his victory would be incomplete until he avenged the man who had humiliated him and planted seeds of doubt in his soul. He kept a close eye on Richard Hope's corporation, which had faced several scandals over the past year due to shady financial practices and accusations of racial discrimination. With each new revelation, Hope's reputation sank lower, and his company's stock plummeted, prompting many longtime partners to distance themselves. Malik saw this as the chance he had been waiting for all year. He approached his team and began buying shares in Hope's corporation, taking advantage of their falling price. With each new batch of shares, he got closer to his goal of becoming the major shareholder and gaining control over the company. It was a long and challenging process, but Malik knew he now had the backing of people who believed in his ideals and values. When he finally acquired a significant portion of shares, Malik publicly announced his intention to reform the company. The news made headlines, and the story of a black entrepreneur becoming the major shareholder of a company owned by one of the city's most notorious racists resonated widely. People saw it as a fair retribution, a symbol of triumph over arrogance and disdain. Richard Hope was shocked and furious. He tried to fight, attempting to maintain control of his corporation, but his efforts were in vain. Malik offered him a choice: either accept the company's new policies, grounded in principles of equality and justice, or step aside, leaving the company to be run by new, more progressive leaders. Realizing that his influence had come to an end, Hope was forced to sell his remaining shares and leave the company he had managed for many years. For Malik, this was not just a professional achievement. It was an act of justice, proof that even the most powerful individuals must show respect for others. His Hope Bank continued to grow, drawing in more clients, and the company that had once belonged to Hope now operated on the same principles as Malik's own project. Malik had not only achieved his triumph, but also demonstrated to the world that true power lies in honesty, persistence, and staying true to one's ideals.